go. Recording in progress. Ha ha ha. Hello, Claudia. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking the time for this interview.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such a wonderful thing to be doing on a very gloomy London afternoon.
Well, I'm sure in that case it's providing a really great opportunities to use some of the skills and techniques and resources that you have developed through the art of happiness, and then which has led into the happiness challenge. Um, which we'll hear more about in a moment. But first of all, Claudia, with all your expertise, with all your experience, the first question always is, what is joy? What is joy to you? What does it mean to you, Claudia?
I mean, for me personally, and also I think through the range of science of happiness that is out there, joy is very much about celebrating life by
Yes.
actively choosing those joyful, ordinary moments. Because in those micro moments, we really have a choice. And I think we often miss that. So, for example, do you scroll on social media and compare yourself to basically an ocean of strangers out there? Or do you stop and have a joyful curiosity conversation with your neighbor? Do you start your
Yeah.
day by reaching by your for your phone and flooding your brain with stress hormones? Or do you
Yeah.
take a deep breath and list three things that you are grateful for, or the three things that you are looking for in the coming day? Do you
Yes.
do you flop on the sofa and binge watch TV in the evenings? Or do you spend few minutes learning something new, doing something creating? My God, I don't know, dancing in the kitchen. So for
Yeah.
me,
Yep.
joy is about celebrating life and
Yep.
really actively choosing that feeling of joy, of happiness, of gratitude. And in
Yep.
my book, The Alphabet of Happiness, there is an entire chapter called Ordinary, which speaks about how that day-to-day joy compounds all together,
Yep.
leading to that higher life satisfaction. So that's how I feel about joy, is those
Yes. Amazing.
choices.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So things that I heard in what you were saying, they include about sort of making good, healthy, conscious, positive choices, particularly at the start of a day, right? There's healthy things you can avoid doing, like flooding your brain and flooding your system with stress hormones, and instead do, something life enhancing and breathing, those sort of breathing, relaxing, just celebrating. That's another key word, lovely word you use, celebrating. Um, um, so it's all what I heard very much is like was sort of conscious steps we can all take, um, um, uh, and which I imagine you do. Ha ha
Yeah, absolutely.
ha.
Absolutely. I think, it's easy to maybe like wake up in the morning and be like, I'm expecting to be joyful. And maybe sometimes that happens, but
Yep, yep,
when it doesn't, then what? And I think
yep,
we do have capacity to choose joy, but we
yes,
almost going against our natural brain tendencies because
yep,
our brain has negativity bias. We
yes,
evolved and we survived because we looked at all the risks and all the
yes,
threats, and we looked at everything what's going to go wrong. And in nowadays world, even though we're not chased by
yep,
big predators, what
yep,
happens is we still looking at, okay, what may think go wrong in the future, what has
yep.
happened in the past, what mistakes have I made, and our brain is primed to do that. So it's almost like we have to retrain our brain to choose
Yep.
joy, actively choose joy.
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, absolutely. This is fantastic. See, question number two that's off, no, we're absolutely touched on really is how important is joy to you, Claudia?
Well, it's really create the premise for everything that I do. Once I have
Yep.
realized that, you know, I need joy for my well-being, for positive thinking, for celebrating life, for successful future, then it becomes a starting point. So another way to think about it is that from very early age, we are taught via conventional wisdom that we first need to do lots of things in life. We need to be successful. We need to
Yeah.
own the house. We need to get married. And then we will be happy and joyful.
Yeah.
But when you look at the research of science of happiness, research shows completely the opposite thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who are already happy and joyful, they have better health and they live longer, actually, which is
Yeah.
very surprising. People who are happy right now are more likely to get promoted at work. People who are happy have better connections. They're more creative, they're more resilient,
Yeah.
which means that happiness and joy is not ultimate goal. It's the starting point, okay? We need to
Yes.
start with joy and happiness. So if
Yes.
we are happy right now, then we'll be more successful in the future, whatever we decide to do, okay? And that
I am
is
happy
very,
right now. I am happy right
I
now,
am happy
Claudia.
right now as
Isn't
well.
that
That is amazing. And what's even more amazing is that this entire principle that happiness first and joy first, and then all of those other aspects in life, is because our brain performs so much better when we are happy
Yep.
rather than we are neutral or negative. So
Yep.
for me, joy is investment in my future, really.
Yes.
And
Yep.
it
Yep.
is a starting point. So it really needs to be the most important, crucial part of our lives.
There we go. There we go. That's such a exactly. That's such a nice conclusion to that question. It is the most important. It really is. It's the fundamental building block, is what I've heard you say, to allow everything else to flow better. All our relationships to live longer, be happier, be more successful. All these things. So, with your amazing experience, Claudia, your podcast and the series, and your book, and your no, your work elsewhere. What would be your top tip or your top tips for experiencing more joy in daily life?
So I would really encourage people to embark on happiness or a joy experiment. So
Very
very
nice.
much adding happiness and joy to your to-do list. Actively learning how to be happy and what brings you joy. Going out there and test driving lots of different happiness hacks that science has already on offer. And having that as part of the routine, being like a scientist and thinking, okay, how do I create more joy in my life? What makes me
Very
happy?
nice.
How can I be happy today? Um, and really making it a daily micro habit rather
Yes.
than just being all the time moving from a next thing to the next without really having a reflection of how to live joyful life. I really think we can learn a lot about living a happy life. We are not taught that. We really
No.
need to, as adults, think about it more
Yes.
actively. So that's my top tip. It is an active practice. It's something that is on
Yes.
your to-do list, something to practice every day.
Yes. Yes. Um, and I also see. I like one of the things you said earlier in the conversation about the way sort of joy and happiness they compound. That they make life, they expand into other parts of our life. Um, uh, uh, how amazing!
Absolutely. So it is because then any happiness boosting habits, so let's say gratitude,
Yep,
meditation, cold showers, any of those positive
yep,
happiness boosting habits, they are called um, key key habits because when we incorporate them in life, we then, by being happier, we start impacting other people around
yep,
us.
yep,
Because we are happier, we are kinder. So we start having better relationships.
Yep.
Because we are happier, we are more creative. And because of
Yep.
that, we are more open to new ideas, again, which
Yep.
is very important when we're creating the connections with people. So it's really interesting how the fact that we look at our happiness, it start really impacting the way we work, the way we are at home, and
Yep.
the way we are in our communities.
Yes. Amazing. Amazing. So um, uh, um, be curious, be open, t- do experiments, see what works for you. These are all the kinds of things that I've been hearing and what you've been saying, and which are amazing tips. They are amazing tips. Now, I'm sure these are well. I know you cover these and many more in your book. Um, and well, Claudia, it's been fantastic. It's been
Thank you.
lovely listening to you and and hearing what you have to say about this. Um, so thank you very, very much for taking the time for this. And I look forward at some point, hopefully, at some point, actually, sort of know that our paths cross in person.
Yes, absolutely. That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Joe, for inviting me.
Lovely, Claudia. Okay, thank you then. Bye bye.